Kellyanne Conway reportedly met with House Republicans, including GOP leader Kevin McCarthy, Friday to discuss the Republican agenda for the midterms. We spoke exclusively with a former counselor to then-President Donald Trump about her thoughts on the 2024 race, who should run, and whether the January 6th investigation has made an impact on his efforts. If former President Trump seeks the nomination, will you advise his campaign?
President Trump and I spent some time together this week. I also spent some time with Vice President Mike Pence in Washington this week. And I think our bench is very full and very deep. This nomination is President Trump's to have if he wants it. And very little will get in the way of that. But it's a very personal choice for him. And he's not yet announced his candidacy. My advice to the president privately is my advice to him publicly, which is if you want to announce, wait until right after the midterms.
So take us inside some of his thinking. When do you think former President Trump will announce?
Well, he would like to have done that already. You saw him in Washington on the stage this past Tuesday. He's chomping at the bit a little bit because he can't believe what's happened to this country in such a short amount of time, in just 18 months. So he would like to announce. My own advice is to wait until after the midterms. Donald Trump's in a very unusual, if not unprecedented yet again.
Your advice? Let me just jump in. Is he going to take your advice?
Well, so far he hasn't announced. So far he hasn't announced. I mean, he could do that any time, Catherine.
You said earlier this week that you thought he would be unstoppable in 2024 if he did what?
If he ran for the Republican nomination. There will be others who run. It will not be uncontested.
Like who?
Well, many people. Those who would be running on the America First agenda.
So Ron DeSantis, you think Ron DeSantis will not run?
That's up to Governor DeSantis. What I would say about Governor DeSantis is he's been just an unbelievably consequential, incredible, almost fearless governor of Florida, the third largest state. So that's not nothing. I mean, what he's been able to do there, and he really knows how to pick the right cultural fights as well. He resisted all the folks on lockdowns, and you have 1,000 new people every day, Catherine, moving to the state of Florida. So he has a state that's still working, that still is accepting people, that doesn't have a state income tax. What I would say about Governor DeSantis, if I was advising him, I would say that go be an unbelievable two-term governor, the best two-term governor of Florida in modern times, if not ever, and then he can run for president before he's even 50. But the urge comes mainly from donors. The urge comes a little bit from voters. Donors always want to know what the next new thing is, and that's why Governor DeSantis has raised a ton of money. But he's been smart to be focused on his own reelection first.
Do you think he's the biggest threat in terms of securing the nomination?
No, I don't. I think, well, if he ran and if it were just one-on-one, maybe, but I think a bunch of people would run. And I think a wild card here is Vice President Mike Pence, because you do hear people say, I love the Trump-Pence accomplishments. I mean, this is the guy who was right there with President Trump. It didn't end on the best terms, but boy, for 4 years, did they sing from the same song sheet, and were they an unbelievable team.
Has the January 6th investigation weakened former President Trump to the point that he can't secure the nomination or win in 2024?
No, and there are several reasons for that. It's difficult to follow the hearings unless you are going for the value of television. Oh, look, 17 million people tune in, and look at this person under oath, how courageous, saying that the gist of this conversation was X, or so-and-so told me what so-and-so told me what so-and-so told me, and I'm here to relay that to you. So I think what's the problem for the January 6th committee, as I say, is it's not a process that's familiar to most Americans. So
what's your prediction for the midterm elections? Can Republicans retake the House and the Senate?
Republicans have 222 seats right now. They are four simple seats away from taking over the House. That's very different from 1994 when they did it. In 2010 when they did it, they had far fewer than 200. So they will take the House. And I think the difference between the Republicans winning, say, 15 seats and 50 seats goes through two roads. One is having a very clear, concise, compelling agenda of solutions. And we're helping them with that. Many people are helping them with that. There was a contract with America in 1994. Kevin McCarthy, Jim Jordan, Steve Scalise, and others now have the commitment to America. And these Senate races are going to come down to the Republicans being disciplined enough to not take the bait, not engage in Twitter wars, not just talk about abortion and guns as the Democrats want to, and climate change, but to make sure you're talking about all of the issues that Americans care about.